like to welcome the Gore family.
Woo-hoo.
Welcome to Paradise. I'm so happy to be in your company today. And today, I intend to explain the history of Paradise Island, the history of the Bahamas, which is a very unique history. It is unique in the fact that the Bahamas is an archipelago of 700 islands and over 2,000 limestone rocks and keys spread over 5,400 square miles. Now that's just in terms of landmass. That's not in terms of the geographic layout. The geographic layout of the country spreads over 100,000 square miles from our far northern island, which is Bimini, to the far southern island, which is Anagua. Okay? So geographically speaking, we are spread over 100,000 square miles. But in terms, if you bring all the land together, all the islands, if you bring all the islands together, we are about 5,400 square miles of land. Okay? This island here, this is known as Paradise Island. We access Paradise Island via a bridge. And the history of this island basically dates back from following the Second World War, which is around 1940s, where you had a Swedish billionaire who came here to the Bahamas in the 1940s and purchased the island from the then government and built his luxurious home on the island. At that time, it was known as Hog Island. Okay, simply because of the fact that he used to raise wild hogs on the island at that time. But he lived there for quite a number of years. Okay, and it wasn't until Mr. Harrington Hatford from A&B grocery stores out of the United States came here and purchased the island from him, where he started to build hotel properties, timeshares, condominiums, and he was also instrumental in changing the name from Hog Island to Paradise Island in 1959. Okay, he created a company called the Resorts International, which also then ushered in the first casino license here on Paradise Island in 1962. Okay, alright, so Resorts International was the company who managed all the hotel properties here on this island for quite a number of years. Okay, alright, Mr. Hartford was instrumental in causing the first bridge to be built here on Paradise Island, and that was built in 1967. Okay, alright.
And it was a ferry boat?
Yes, prior to the construction of boat bridge, you'd have had to access Paradise Island both via a ferry boat, or you'd have had to been a good swimmer. Okay.
We were contemplating a swim between Harborside and Royal Tower.
Oh, okay.
Last night.
Okay. All right. Now we're gonna take a right.
Guys, did you see that car? It had the steering wheel on the right-hand side.
That's right. Yeah, we import vehicles from all over the world, and all of our vehicles come from, like, a lot of them come from the United States, Europe, Japan, all over the world. All right. And therefore, some of the steering wheels will be on the left, and some of them will be on the right. Now we have this hotel here to my left, which is Comfort Suites. This is actually 50% owned by the Atlantis company. Okay, and 50% owned by a private entity. Okay, but the Atlantis came to the Bahamas for the first time around 1993. At that time, the proprietor of the company, his name is Mr. Saul Kirshen. He was from Sun City, South Africa, of which he was trying to get here in the Bahamas to do this project from in the 80s. But you see, what happened is, at that time, the Bahamas government had sanctions against South Africa. Okay, so they were not allowed to do business in the Bahamas at that time, just like many other countries around the world. Okay, but since the policies of the government of South Africa had changed, and like around 1991, 1992, the policies of the government of the Bahamas was changed against South Africa. Now, before you ask me, I'm going to tell you, because as we traverse throughout the island, I know I'm going to get the question in reference to these beautiful red flowers. You're going to find them throughout the island as we traverse, and they are known as the Royal Poinciana trees. You would find those right around as we traverse around the island. You would find many of them. Okay. In the Bahamas, we also grow quite a number of tropical plants and flowers. Like we have these, we have two types of coconut trees. I don't know if you can see coconut trees, or you get to see coconut trees in California. I don't know.
There's palm trees, but no coconuts on them.
Oh, okay.
Just dates usually, right?
Dates.
Okay.
Yeah, dates.
All right. And we have various types of palm trees here as well. We have detached palm trees. which is like this one here to my left. That's a Taj palm tree. We're going to be finding them as we traverse throughout the island as well. Okay. Now, Mr. Harrington Hartford, when he first came here, he was instrumental in constructing the Hurricane Oil Marina, the Cafe Martinique restaurant, the Ocean Clubs to my left. It wasn't a one and only. It was just known as the Ocean Club. At this time, the cheapest room in Ocean Club is like $1,200 a night. All right, so it's extremely expensive there. Mr. Harrington Hartford was also instrumental in seeing to it that this monastery came here to my right. This is known as the 14th century French St. Augustine's Monastery, which is imported from France to New York in the 1940s, early 1940s, and from New York to the Bahamas in the 1960s. Brick by brick, it was imported here from New York. Basically, it's just really like a popular wedding venue where a lot of people go and have their wedding vows exchanged and so forth. Okay, but it's a very popular area in terms for people who are getting married. They usually go. A lot of tourists goes there a lot to have their wedding vows exchanged. Okay, but Atlantis is also home to many residential properties. We have quite a number of wealthy American celebrities who live here on Paradise Island as well, and they live in an area called the Ocean Clubs Estates. Ocean Clubs Estates is an area to the far western part of the island. Okay, now if we were to drive straight ahead, we will drive right into the Ocean Clubs Estate. You have quite a number of American celebrities, namely like people like Oprah Winfrey. She has a house in the back there. The daughter of Elvis Presley also managed a home in the back of Ocean Clubs Estates as well, and quite a number of American celebrities. The Bahamas is also a very popular destination for American celebrities who want to come here and buy a second home because of our no capital gains tax and our tax incentives that the government give to people who want to have Americans primarily who want to own private homes here in the Bahamas. We also have this beautiful mansion here, well, condos, and these are known as the Shangri-La. These are owned by Bahamians of Chinese origin. Okay. Oh yes, and we have quite a number of Bahamians and foreigners who own condos here on Paradise Island. Okay. All right.
See, that's not moving. Not getting a video image. Is that normal for you?
Yeah. Sometimes it stops, right? And then, but it's still be recording.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it still be recording. And when they play it back, it's see, it's blinking.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, you know.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's blinking. So once it's blinking like this,
right,
it means it's recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes. Oh yes. All right, and we have quite a number of residential properties. I mean, I don't know factually speaking. I can't give you factually how much a condominium will cost over here on Paradise Island, but my guess is it's going to be like from $800,000 and up.
Wow.
But they are very expensive here on Paradise Island. Okay. We also have bougainvillea. We have quite a number of these trees here throughout the island as well. We have, as we traverse along the island, you would see quite a number of bougainvillea flowers as we traverse along the island.
We have those in our backyard.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bulking.
Okay. And we also have these tropical plants here to my left. We call these type of trees right here to my left, we call them sea grape trees.
Sea grape.
Sea grape. They grow real grapes. You see those? Those are real grapes, and you know they usually turn like a raspberry or a burgundy color when they are ripe, or they are very sweet. And sometimes they taste sweeter than the grapes in the food store. Oh yes. Oh yes. All right. And so we're gonna take a left right here. Oh yes, we're gonna place to drive. Oh yes. So this is a little bit of Paradise Island. Oh yes. And we also have the Versailles Gardens here. to my right.
Oh.
This is the Versailles Gardens. It's a very popular garden area. On this property of the Ocean Club's hotel, and it's known as the Versailles Gardens. It's a very beautiful garden. It's very nice over there. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Do they grow anything like wheat or corn on any of the islands?
Yes. Well, in the Bahamas we have three major industries. The first one is tourism, the second one is banking and financial services, and the third one is agriculture and fishing and light manufacturing. But in terms of agriculture, we grow a lot of citrus, like oranges and tangerines and so forth. And most of the agriculture and fishing is done in less developed communities or less developed islands like Andros and some of the far south islands of the Bahamas. Okay, and we grow a lot of vegetables like we grow onions and potatoes, and we grow tomatoes. But in terms of fruit, we have sugarcane, we have plantains, and we have bananas. We grow a lot of oranges and tangerines and stuff like that. Oh yes. And one time ago, the Bahamas was in a position where it almost could feed itself. But over the years, we has really strayed off in terms of our agriculture production. The government has really took a lackluster approach in terms of making sure that the country is in a position to feed itself. But now this government is also promising now that they are going to make it a priority that the Bahamas could feed itself. You see what I'm saying? But over the years, from I was a little boy growing up, that was always the talk. You understand what I'm saying? So they only talk this, but in terms of putting it into action, very little action. Oh yes.
Like most of the governments.
That's right. They prefer for us to import. But the more we import, the more tax revenue they collect, because our taxation system is set up a little different from your own in the United States, where we import at least about 80% of our foods from other countries. Okay. And they want us to import, and the more we import, the more taxes we collect. We spend over $1 billion a year on import duties.
Wow.
Importing food items, clothing items, and everything from other parts of the world. Okay? But yeah. Alright, so we have tourism is the number one, banking and financial services number two, agriculture and fishing is the number three. Yeah, but Atlantis has really been the company that provided at least 6,000 stable jobs for the Bahamian people. Atlantis has really could be described as the savior of the economy here on Paradise Island and the country. A lot of people who work at the Atlantis establishment is considered to have a good job. All right, a lot of people can go to the bank and get mortgages and get various types of loans and stuff once they are able to verify that they work to Atlantis. All right, so they has really brought a lot of growth to the economy of the country.
Are those jobs very competitive?
They are competitive jobs, and in some banks and institutions, once you show that you work to Atlantis, right away, whatever you want, right away.
Oh my
You understand
gosh.
what I'm saying? So Atlantis has really been a good contributor to the economy of the country in terms of the employment they provide to the Bahamian people. And Mr. Kirshner, the original proprietor, has been one of the best businessmen we could ever brought into the country. Okay. However, over the years, the ownership of the country has changed many times. Okay. It's now owned by a company out of Canada called the Brookfield Investments Group. Brookfield is a company out of Canada, a real estate company that came here into the Bahamas about 5 or 6 years ago and purchased the debt of the Atlantis because Mr. Kirshner, I don't know whether he was just ailing or the fact that he tried to expand and open up Atlantis in Dubai, and that didn't do well when it first started. But he defaulted on some of his loans and was in a position where he was not paying his loans. And the company out of Canada called Brookfield Investments, they came in and they purchased the debt of the company, thereby acquiring majority of shares in the company. So basically it's now owned by a Canadian company out of Canada called Brookfield Investments. Okay, they maintain over the years a managerial contract with Kirshner, where he was managing the resorts for the last 4 years. But I don't think they're going to renew that contract this year.
Is he old now?
Yeah, he's old. He's about probably be in the 70s. Okay, you know. Oh yes. But his company has really been a good company for the country in terms of business, in terms of employment. His company generated for thousands of Bahamians.
Is there a does the government set a basic wage?
Yes, we do have a minimum wage, and sometimes I get a little embarrassed to talk about it because it's only $175 a week. But for private sector workers it's $175, and public sector workers is like $210 a week. Okay, the government tries to encourage private sector by putting their minimum wage up higher so that they can follow suit. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
We're gonna take a right onto Shirley Street. Shirley Street is the second main street on the island. Bay Street is the first main street, and we're gonna take a right here. All right. Yeah, we pay like $5.80 on a gallon of fuel. All of our fuel is imported from other countries. Okay? And we were promised many years renewable energy. As I said before, in reference to the fruit thing, they just promise us these things, but they have yet to deliver. Also to my left, we have the Ebenezer Methodist Church. This church was built in 1802. When it was first constructed, it was a wooden structure. It was completely destroyed by a fire in 1804 and rebuilt to a concrete structure in 1806. One of the oldest Methodist churches here on the island.
Wow,
okay.
1800s.
Oh yes. Now one of the only church on the island that doesn't have a paint on the building is known as St. Matthew's Anglican Church, which is this beautiful edifice right here to my right. This church right here. This is the only church that still has its original structure in place since 1802. It was built by a loyalist, Mr. Joseph Eve was his name. It's one of the oldest Methodist churches here on the island. One of the only church on the island that doesn't have, one of the oldest Roman Catholic church right here to my left. This is known as the Sacred Heart Roman Catholic Church. This was built in 1839.